What recent circumstance made you very unhappy and why?
I don't want to talk about it. I can't tell you. It's a secret. I got dumped, sort of. Well, it's kind of. Okay, that's it.
And why did that make you unhappy?
It really tapped into a lot of my insecurities, and I sort of took the rejection as sort of this blanket rejection of everything that I reject about myself, and it made me sort of see myself in this place. I'm older than I used to be. I don't have a job. I just quit a job that I didn't like. I don't know quite what I'm doing next, so it really just kind of magnified all of my insecurities, you know, about myself and who I am, and about what I'm doing and how I'm gonna get by and be, you know, independent and able to, you know, take care of myself in this world. So, yeah, that sucked.
So one of the guys at the hospice facility, he's very kind of one of these people who wants to draw you in. He's very desireful of interaction with the volunteers. I'm one of the volunteers there, and he, you know, he has various things that he wants you to do with him, which is, you know, great, and it's a pleasure to be with him. But he constantly wants to hook you into to different things. He doesn't want to be alone because he's afraid, which is easy to understand in that circumstance. He's gradually losing his physical abilities and is close to death. But so he asked me, I sometimes go to the video store to get music or video for the people who live there. He asked me for science fiction movies. And I said, well, I can get you some. And he said, well, I don't have any money right now, but I'll pay you back later. I was like, oh, don't worry about it. So I got him like 5 different science fiction DVDs. And I brought them in, and he looked at them. He's like, oh, I've seen this one's crappy, I've seen that one. He's like, you weren't shopping for me, you were shopping for yourself. And I was like, oh, that hurts. Like, I really took some time to try and, like, you know, do something that I thought she wanted, and he just kind of, like, cut that off and took that away from me. That kind of hurt. But in those circumstances, you try to recognize, like, you know, really what's going on for them. It's not really about the movies. It's about wanting to feel that they're being taken care of.
It's just ongoing. My grandmother's not doing so hot, so kind of just hearing like updates from my father every now and then totally put me down. But
currently I'm going through a job search, and you know, it's you're trying to find the right position, and you can find what you think is the right spot for you, but whoever's doing the hiring doesn't think so. And it's as much as you realize that it's a numbers game, that you're, you know, just throwing yourself out there, and when you match somebody, when you meet somebody that it clicks, but you know, until then it's quite disheartening. It's depressing sometimes when you think that you've got, like, you match that position so well, and you know, they opt for someone else.
today down the street to go to the pet food store, and I was in a hurry, and I was walking really fast and really tall, and just like with my mind set on exactly where I had to go with what I needed to get, and this guy crosses the street like right in front of me and says, "That's what I'm talking about," and like winks at me and like makes this like sexual thing and harassed me walking down the street to go get cat litter. And I turn around and I say something like, "Shut the fuck up," you know, like, because I'm not having it and I'm sick of it. So I know I said, you know, like, "Shut the fuck up." There might have been another part to that. Yeah, because as I was walking out of the store, like, this guy kind of, like, smirked at me, too, and I just wasn't sure if he was being creepy or not creepy, and you know, I just wasn't in the mood to, you know, not be able to just walk down the street and take care of my business, so.
Learning about family drama, our family's never been that close anyway, and finally being accepted into the realm of being adult in the family, and being let into the secrets of just how very adult secrets can be in a family, that's kind of been a bummer in my life, and that just happened about 2 months ago.
Well, I sold a painting a couple of days ago and to a good friend, and I received a check. And just this afternoon, I found out that that check is no good. He called me and told me that I couldn't cash the check, and I felt betrayed, and I felt just discarded and pissed off. I guess it goes to you don't really know who you're dealing with. People. What motivates us can be very tricky.
Quit a new job that I just started because I realized I didn't want to be doing what I was doing. I decided I don't want to be bartending anymore, and I've been looking for jobs and feel rejected every time I'm turned away from a place. I think I take it too personally, so I had an unhappy day yesterday, just knocking on doors, pounding the pavement, having an unfruitful search.
So yeah, I was talking about how I just got a new job and I have to ride my bike to work every day because I don't have a car, and you can't ride on the right because there's sand and then you sink, and then you can't ride on the left too far because then you get hit by a car that's going 50 miles per hour. So I'm riding along the little white strip on the side, and I have my big giant bag over my shoulder, and this man pulls up beside me as I'm riding with my iPod, and he's like, "Do you know what time it is?" And I'm like, "No." And then he's like, "Do you need a ride?" And I'm like, "No." And then he's like, "Have you ever seen one of these before?" And he was holding his you-know-what. And that just shocked me so much. I fell over it and I was like, "Ah!" And I had to like figure out what to do because I'm like on the sand in my bike, and I'm just like, what do I do? And it scared me. Like, I can laugh about it now, but then it scared me so bad I started shaking because I like didn't know what I was gonna do about it. I didn't know where it's gonna go. Like, I'm on my bike, I'm in the sand, like, who do I call? Like, do I keep riding where I'm going? And so it made me really unhappy because now I'm not allowed to ride my bike to work anymore. And I am really upset about it, but it's also because it's really unsafe to ride my bike to work because the cars are going 50 miles per hour and you have like no space to ride your bike, and I have to ride home in the dark. So I'm trying to get a car right now, but it made me unhappy. Just, like, people are so sick-minded that somebody would do that. Like, come on, I'm riding my bike, and he exposed himself to me clear and in broad daylight, and it's sickening. It's just stupid and sickening, and it made me really unhappy.
My ex-boyfriend, who was a nightmare of an up and down, but was always a pretty good friend to me, and sort of put himself out there to be family even though we weren't together, etc., is now engaged, which was difficult but understandable and totally fine. But recently made the declaration that his fiancée is not comfortable with me being in his life at all, and making him make a choice. And it made me really unhappy that it was a sense of betrayal that someone who offered themselves up as family, to me especially because I have a very tenuous relationship with my own family, to turn his back on that felt like a real betrayal and made me really unhappy.
I work at an after-school program in the Tenderloin in San Francisco. And about 3 weeks ago, one of my youth members I'm very close to and have a very dear place for him, my heart was shot. And he's okay. But it definitely was something that struck me in places that I've never had to dig into before. And I'm still dealing with that, so that's definitely something that has been hard for me. to accept that people that I love very much are constantly going through these struggles every day.
None of the girls I write to in casual encounters ever write to me back.
When I was a rep for my company at the International Motorcycle Show, I had stepped off of our little territory. We had our area, which was maybe 300 square feet, and went to go look at other vendors. Ended up getting grabbed out of the crowd by another vendor who was selling these like hot pants and shorts, and he just pulled me in against him, and he's grabbing my ass, and he's like, "Oh, honey, you'd look great in this," and he hands me the shirt that says Hoochie on it, and I'm a brown belt in jiu-jitsu, and I don't use it unless I need to, and I nailed him across the cheek, and I don't know if I chipped a tooth or what, but I laid him out on the ground and I took off, and it really irritated me to think that here I am, dressed in a suit, not looking like anything other than a business professional, trying to sell these scooters and get attention for people and get them into this lifestyle, and I've got this guy thinking that I look better in a Hoochie shirt. So that was really irritating, to say the least.
My parents, because of my grades.
What about them?
Because they're not what they should be at, and so I get grounded a lot.
Cramming 4 people into a 3-bedroom and having to share a room with somebody, kind of just that invasion of privacy, I guess.
I found out that a friend of mine, I actually have 6 years, I haven't seen him in 6 years, that I grew up with, is flying out here in 2 weeks, and I just found out that he got arrested for a 3rd DUI. And I was very, not only just angry about that, but very, distraught knowing that obviously if somebody's got a 3rd DUI, they've obviously got a serious drinking problem, and just the kind of depressed state that I think that he's in right now because of where he is at in his life. So it's kind of really brought me down, really bummed me out.
I tried to write a profile for Match.com, and I work alone, and I don't really go out to bars. I don't really have an opportunity to meet a lot of people, and I've got a close group of friends, but we don't go out, and they've either got partners or whatever, and my friends, they all kept just saying, "You've got to try the online dating, and it's been a couple years, and they were like, "Come on," and so I finally capitulated and decided, okay, I'll do this, and I started to write about myself, and I couldn't do it. Like, it was so hard for me. My first mistake was going through and reading what other people had written, and thinking that they had just sat down and rattled that right off, I couldn't in a couple paragraphs the monumental changes that have gone on in my life in the last 3 years. I couldn't write about that. It's way too heavy. This is a dating service, but that's where I'm at, and so I had to be authentic, and so I didn't do it. I couldn't do it. I couldn't write. It was so hard for me. My whole life it's been so hard for me to be comfortable in my own skin. My entire life has been, honestly, one big endurance test. And so I, along the way, have just had to do my best just to stay alive. And my party days, I never expected to even reach 25, much less 35. And I didn't plan for what I should do for a career. I didn't plan for hobbies. I was too preoccupied with just trying to stay alive and manage my anxiety or my discomfort in the world, and my sense of never belonging, and so it really spun me out. And that was about a month ago, and I've been paying for it every month, but I have no pictures up or profile. I just pay them. I'm just here, I'm sure it just says my screen name, and then there's nothing, and I'm just $60. $60. And my friends tried to help me, and they said, get your best friend to write something about you, and it just, and then I realized I don't want to do that. And, someone said, well, you need to work through the fear and do it and put yourself out there. And you know what? For me, maybe that's not the way to do it. Like, for me to do an online service is just not, that's not for me. So, but I'll keep paying for it. And maybe one day I'll be able to, put some kind of lighthearted, and there are parts of me, like I'm totally absurd at times. I'm completely ridiculous. But when it comes to stuff like that, like I'm so critical of myself and micromanaging every aspect about how they perceive me that it was just horribly painful. And I cried for 2 days straight and just ate ice cream and snickerdoodles. So that's that.
God, well, it's good and bad. Like, I quit drinking 8 months ago, and that's, like, been good and bad, but it's had more positive aspects, but the bad aspects have been kind of, like, trying to feel, like, what to do with my time and, like, pretty much, like, how to, like, fit back into society. It's kind of weird. So that's kind of been, like, dragging me down, but at the same time it's also been, like, making me a better person, so I'm trying to, that's kind of like an iffy one.
Oh, law school, and the apathy, and the idiots who want to do corporate law, and my corporation's outline, and just all of the, like, lack of spirit, and all the people who just, there's, like, this end goal that's really just money. Yeah.
And that was that it turned out that after I'd gotten all of this data, that because there was a miscommunication about who the data belonged to and who was going to be authored, there was a possibility that I wouldn't be able to use it. And that left me unhappy because I went to Brazil with this image of who I wanted to become while I was there and who I wanted to be. And I had spent so many months coming at peace. Coming to peace with the fact that I just wasn't going to become that image, because you can never be that person, like I'm not going to get some fabulous publication out of my time here, and I'm not necessarily going to become absolutely fluent in Portuguese. I'm just not going to be this person I thought that I would become, because an image is an image. And when I got all my data, and when it looked like the manuscript was going to happen, there was a little piece of me that said, oh, I'm becoming that person. I am that person I always wanted to be. And then when that slight, and it was just a slight flicker, and then when the idea came that maybe I won't be that person after all of a sudden I was like devastated. And I realized as much as I tell myself, oh, I'll never be the image, or I'll never be that person I really wanted to be or thought I could be, anytime there's a slight clue that maybe I am that person, I just latch onto it with as much force, with my teeth just as deep as I ever had. And I don't know if I'll ever not be able to do that, or really resign myself to, I'm just not going to be my fantasy self.
Well, I think I'm in a general state right now of kind of unhappiness. Is that, did you say unhappy or sad?
Unhappy.
Yeah, unhappiness, because I don't know that I'm going to stay in California, and I'm trying to figure out where I'm going. And my family's giving me a slight pressure to, why am I not married? And so there's very few things in my life right now that are figured out. Nothing that's figured out.